stand for the pledge, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to point out the exits. They're to the rear and to the sides of us. First order of business is the oath of offices. Excuse me? No, that's fine. Start with you, Mr. Cregan. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Member Board of Education according to the best of my ability. Thank you. Just need to sign that. Lenora, please. Okay, just so people can hear you. Thank you.
Thank God I'm next to Brenda.
Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear.
Do I have to put my hand?
Yes, right hand, please. I do solemnly
swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Member Board of Education
Member Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Please raise your right hand. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Member Board of Education
of Member Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just need you to sign that for me. Next, we move to the Superintendent of Schools. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Superintendent of Schools
of Superintendent of Schools
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you. At this point in time, I will open the floor for nominations for President of the Board of Education. Bass?
I have a statement I prepared regarding the election process for President, Vice President. I'd like to state, just for the record and for the community, I already shared it with the members of the board, but I'd like the community to see what I'm, like to tell them.
You want to speak before we make the
Yeah,
election?
I have a prepared statement, like 9 bullet points I'd like to read.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks. I do have a prepared statement, really not a PhD dissertation or anything like that. It's 9 bullet points right to the topic that I'd like to have discussed later on with the board, but for the moment, I'd like to share it with the community. And thanks, Harvey, for giving me this opportunity. The title is Thoughts on the CCSD BOE President and Vice President Election Process. I wrote it this afternoon, basically, July 2nd. Number 1, the President/Vice President election process is currently chaotic and basically lacking as a well-defined and documented, organized process. 2, one member, just kind of anecdotally, one member told me, I hate the May, June time of the year because of all the chaos and trouble we have to go through to elect president, vice president. The phone calls, the texting, etc. And I'm saying they're absolutely right. Number 3, some members play the numbers game. We are 9 members here. Some members do play the numbers game, approaching other members and telling them, I got 4 votes, and with your support, I will get 5 and will win. Or I got 3 votes already, and with your support, I'll have 4, and then I'll start working hard on getting the 5th vote. Now, these members may just be based on hope and nothing more. Number 4, this time around, some members calculated that they already got at least 5 votes, not including me, and did not bother contacting me to share with me their campaign platform. What are they planning to accomplish this year? What distinguishes them from other candidates? How they're going to achieve their goals? And what approach they're going to follow? This can be interpreted as my positions, Bas Chakra's position on various issues do not matter at the end. They might consider or might think they're the majority and I'm in the minority, and measures and decisions will get passed without me. I vote no, right? So without me. Calling me and just stating, Bas, I would appreciate your support is not enough. As my thinking would be, and is, okay, you're running, good luck, but why should I support you? Based on what? Number 5, I contacted personally, one board member, telling them why I thought they are in the best position to run for president. But they declined based on some personal commitments, which I totally respect. Number 6, some members contacted me asking for my support for electing them president or vice president without convincing me why they're running. And I'm not going to go through all the details of the decision behind them making their decision. Their reasons were not convincing and basically not enough for running, in my judgment. They lacked substance, right? Why they're running lacked substance. I can't declare that I'm running, for instance, just because I want to run. Number 7, phone calls and texts were going among board members one-on-one. Like one person calls the other, or one person, texts the other. And when the conversations conclude, they go ahead and share the results of that conversation with another board member, so on and so forth, all while paraphrasing what the conversations arrived at and mostly misinterpreting the statements of the other person they talked to. For instance, X supports Y, where it may not be the case. Number 8, almost done. I have a total of 9. For election platforms and for a smooth process of BOE president, vice president elections. But more importantly, for a smooth working environment after the elections. The president and the vice president are better off running together as a ticket, like we do for president of the United States, where they can run unopposed, why not? Or against another ticket or tickets. We might end up having 3 tickets, 4 tickets. We're 9 people here. Last point, number 9, those who are running for president or vice president ought to show their platforms to all members of the BOE at once and discuss it with them. You entertain ideas. You convince me, I convince you. This would necessitate a meeting and a venue, which our BOE policies do not discuss, neither does the NISBA state policy. Therefore, I would like to have this discussion, occurring or taking place in the new policy committee we will form shortly, and thank you.
I make a motion to nominate Jim Cragen for president.
The floor remains open. Any other nominations?
Yes, I nominate Christian Brunelli.
We have 2 nominations. Any other? Okay. With a show of hands, can I see who is in favor of Jim Cregan? We have 1. We have Tiffany, Christine, Brendan, and Jim. We have 4. Okay. Can I have a show of hands for Christian Brunelli? We have Christian, Eleonora, Carl, and Richard. Okay. Any abstentions?
Abstaining.
You're abstaining. Okay. So we have a 4-4. At this point in time, the floor is closed. I open it back up for nominations again for the president. And I have nominations for the president of the Board of Education.
I nominate Jim Cragen for president.
Jim Cregan?
I nominate Christian Brunelli as president.
Okay. Any other? Okay. Can I have a show of hands for Jim Cregan? We have Tiffany, Christine, Jim, and Brendan. 4 again. Show of hands for Christian Brunelli. We have Christian, Eleanor, Carl, and Richard. So it's a tie. What we have to do at this point in time, we move on to the vice presidency. The position of president is not filled tonight. It'll be done at the next meeting where we will take another vote. At this point in time, I will open it up for nominations for vice president.
I'll nominate Christine Diaz.
Okay. Any other nominations? Can I have a show of hands for Christine Diaz? We have Christian Brunelli, Tiffany, Christine, Jim. We have Brendan, Eleanor, Carl, and Richard. Okay. Christine, congratulations. I'd like to swear you in. Please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will support, let me start over so everybody hears you. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Vice President, Board of Education,
of Vice President of Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this point in time, due to the fact that we will be electing a president at the next meeting, Christine, the meeting is yours. I turn it over to you. Thank you.
The first order of business is public comments. We ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. I can't find the prepared speech part, but do we have anyone who would like to make a public comment? Thank you. All speakers are to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Obscene language, etc., will not be tolerated. Persons wishing to discuss matters involving individual district personnel or students should present their comments and/or concerns to the superintendent during regular business hours. So again, I invite anyone who would like to make a public comment to come up to the mic. No? Okay, thank you. So now we will move on.
Christine?
Yes.
I'd just like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter.
Sure. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bas.
And that would take a vote.
All in favor of going into executive session? Anyone opposed? So let the record show we have 1 opposed and the rest are in favor. Thank you. So at this time, we're going to break to go into executive session, and we'll be back. right, thank you. We're back. So our next action is to go through our recommended actions, which includes appointment of officers and other recommended appointments. Could I get a motion to go over the appointment of officers?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. So my understanding is I'm going to go through these one by one and take a vote. No, or by section, right? So we have an appointment of officers, A through E.
No, you've got number one. Why is there number two?
It's right here, number 2, other recommended appointments.
Yeah, so
Yeah. So I would
Christine, what
vote-
you're going to have to do, you're going to actually have to open each item. You're going to have to take a motion on voting for number 1, take a motion on
Appointment of
voting for number
officers,
2.
and then as a group.
No, that your votes will be, because they're separate.
Number one on number two on number
But number
three.
1A, number 1B?
No,
number
just one.
1, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
My paper's cut off.
could I have a motion
So
to,
we just opened number one
okay,
and have a second. So you can ask a question or if you
okay.
just want-
Any discussion on the appointment of officers, A through E, on number 1? Okay, then we will take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to number 2, other recommended appointments. We have A through I. Any discussion?
We have to open each one before voting on it.
Can I have a motion to
So moved.
discuss? To open?
So moved.
Oh, thank you, Richard. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, now discussion. D, go ahead, yeah. Can you put your microphone on?
Sorry, I'll get it sooner or later. I was just curious why we are continuing with them. Having worked with him, he's been around for quite some time. Are we open to other options?
Go ahead, Terry.
Eleanor is bringing up the same point that was made last year. I did want to share with the board some additional information that I think could help the process, because Christine last year, I just kind of watched the tape from last year, she asked the question, are we bound to a year? So important information number 1 is I would recommend that the board appoint Honeywell Law Firm tonight for the year with all the other appointments. The part that is, I think, going to be helpful for the board is the board and Honeywell Law Firm both have an out clause with 30 days written notice. So should the board decide to go in a different direction at any point in the year, should it be immediately following an RFP, a stated date, there's a 30-day written notice for both sides. So us approving it tonight would allow for the continuation of services. There's 2 cases going on right now that I would recommend we continue to push through, but it doesn't preclude the board deciding at a later date to go out with an RFP to explore other options.
During my training, I had the opportunity to work with a law firm that works with several school districts, and I was able to see the difference in the quality of service from that law firm to what I feel we are getting here. So yes, I would definitely like to open that up. I understand that you want to approve them because we have these cases going on and we do need representation, but I feel that we could do a far better job of getting someone to represent our district.
Thank you, Christine. Just want to comment on what Terry just mentioned, and absolutely. But I recall like same thing exactly happened last year. So whose fault was it last year that was it like the board's fault that we didn't really act on that point, or?
So I would say there's no one at fault, just it's easy to forget because it was a while ago. To end this part of the discussion last year, Mr. Sotland said, you know, we're not quite sure that Honeywell has heard explicit concerns from the board, so we felt that it was fair to sit down with Mr. Honeywell and discuss whatever. That meeting occurred on September 12th, and then we didn't hear anything after. So that's not fault, that's just what happened last year. On September 12th, we did have a meeting to discuss whatever with Honeywell, and that was the end of the conversation.
Just to be clear, was the meeting done between the administration and the council?
It was
or
with the board.
The board?
Yeah.
Represented by whom?
Everyone was there.
Who?
At district office, everyone was there in executive session for legal matters.
Done in the conference.
September 12th.
We discussed whether we want to keep hiring him or not.
We can't discuss what we just.
No, I
the
mean,
details, but
no,
the meeting.
I have no
the meeting
recollection of
occurred
that.
on September 12th.
I don't think,
The meeting took place,
so
but that point was never discussed.
so I think that we just have to look forward. I think Tiffany has a question, and then I have a comment.
When can we put out a new RFP? When can that be done, and can it be put on the agenda for a board vote if necessary? And, I mean, even if a particular firm is handling cases, cases can go on for years. That doesn't mean that we couldn't do it.
Yeah, so my concern was more for a decision tonight. The way that the kind of workings of the district occur, particularly for board members, September is rough for everyone. So we open schools, and then things like RFPs would be prime time for like an October window where we could kind of dedicate
So
appropriate time.
my question, Terry, I don't know that committee is the proper word, but a working group perhaps to get together, because I think even last year when this was raised, my question, I'm not opposed to doing an RFP, but why? What is it that we want that we're not getting? You know, what is it that we want to see? And I think we have to define that within an RFP. So if it makes sense to create a working group of folks that have a desire or a concern around this area, if that makes sense, not a year-long committee, but a time-bound working group to put their heads together on this. Does
Yeah,
that make
I think
sense?
that's great. Jim can speak to a process that worked really well for the district, where we changed audit partners. So that did allow for a smaller group of board members to hear information and then present to the larger board. So that would be a good idea.
So I anticipate, committee discussions will happen tonight, and clearly we're not going to make decisions here because we don't have a president. But I anticipate sending out some sort of communication seeking folks' interest in different areas, if that's appropriate in terms of public knowledge. And within that, I would suggest we include a section of wanting to be a part of this working group. And then we can, that group can make decisions about timeline moving forward and align with district office. Does that work? Terry, does that work for you? Yeah. Okay. All right, so any other comments on this one? Okay, so with all of that in mind, knowing that this would include approving them for now, we do know we have a 30-day clause where we can get out, and we will create a working group so that we can, create a way forward as it relates to who our legal representation would be long-term. Can a vote? Can I please have all in favor of approving these other recommended appointments, A through I?
Christine?
L, A through L.
I'm so sorry, just a quick question on your comment about the president not being here. You are the president today,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you for clarifying.
So you can make the decisions.
Okay.
Correct?
But we can. I just won't make that decision today. I would rather put that to if I was the president all the time, I would say the same thing. We're going to wait and get input from everyone. So just out of respect for whoever that will be long term. So can I please have a vote on other recommended appointments, A through L? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Moving on, designations for the 2023 calendar year. This is different. No, number 4. Oh, it's a cutoff on the page. Sorry, folks at home. Number 3, designations for the 23-24 school year.
This is 24-25.
24-25.
Linda will correct. We'll make
Keeping
that.
me on my toes. Could I please have a vote? This is for A through D.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. Number 4, authorizations for the 24-25 school year. These are authorizations related to federal aid programs, participation in educational programs, authorizations for monthly petty cash funds. So these are A through M. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
A second. Thank you. All in favor? Oh, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. And then finally, subject number 5, other appointments. These are A through O, and these are related to subcommittees, delegates, alternates, Committee on Special Education, legislative liaisons. Could I please get a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to, A through C, we go through this every year, are board positions, delegate and alternate delegate to the Orange County School Board Association, A, B, delegate and alternate delegate for the board to the annual meeting of NISBA, and C, appointment of the legislative liaison. All of those are blank, and we should just,
Discussion over who those people are.
well, what we have done in the past is just push that in with the committee discussion and finalize it next month when we finalize the committees. So I think that's the most prudent course of action. They're not really, I don't think that any of these are going to have any action within the next month. So I vote that we just vote on this as it's written because they're blank, and then appoint those people when we fill the committee appointments at next month's meeting.
Include them in the questionnaire of who might be interested
Yes.
and wants more information?
Yes.
Okay. So should we vote on, I guess,
Table
A, B, and C, and vote D through O? Does it matter?
Yeah, they're blank. I think
Okay.
functionally it's the same.
Sure.
Okay.
Doesn't,
I have a comment, and to Jim's point, exactly what we did last year, but in terms of like language and putting an agenda, other appointment and, ABC appointment of, right? It sounds like we need to appoint right now, not later. I know we did exactly what as you said it, Dwayne,
But
right?
what's the impetus for that?
So, I mean, the language should be changed, like, for, like, better quality of maybe the agenda itself. Like, the board shall appoint in the next 30 days, something like that, but like, appointment means like,
Oh,
right
so
now,
just the
like-
language on the.
because
on
like the vote, where are we voting on?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So would it be
We're not
helpful
voting
to
on
ask if,
having this point on the agenda itself.
okay, so if we just voted on D through O, that would eliminate the verbiage issue?
Yeah, and we gotta do something about ABC, I mean, I don't know,
Well, we
yeah.
have to come with ABC, but we'll vote on that next month when we get input from everybody and their interest. Okay. So then, is it okay, can I restate what we're voting on? Number 5, can I have a motion to vote on items D through O?
so moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Discussion on D through O? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, abstentions? All right, thank you. We'll come back to those 3 in the context of our committee discussion next month. Okay, so now we move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda, let me just make sure I'm going all the way. We have items 1 through 19. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A second?
Well, first,
Discussion.
you would ask if there's anybody who wants to remove an
Oh,
item, and then we would open just those items.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone that would like anything pulled from the consent agenda?
Number 3.
Number 3, okay. Anything else?
I'd like to pull number 9, please.
3, number 9. Anything else?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't.
Okay, so then, may I have a motion to vote on 1, 2, 4 through 8, and 10 through 19?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, thank you. So, Jim, you pulled number 3?
Christian.
Oh, Christian, number 3? Sorry.
I pulled it because of, I believe someone would like to abstain, and so
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, though. I don't have it in front of me, and I can't get on the Wi-Fi.
It's number 3.
Right,
That's
but I don't know which.
They're all one vote, so.
I understand. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks,
Thank you so
Christian.
much. So I, go ahead.
Just abstain from the whole.
Well, okay. I don't want it to affect anybody else, though, so I'm not really sure. But I'm going to ask that the item number, sub-item number 1, and there's another one, sub-item number 5
Okay.
are voted on separately. I need to abstain.
Okay, how many are there altogether? I don't have that in front of me, I'm sorry. 1, 8,
20, 21?
okay, so in the first section, we have the appointments, the positions, numbers 1 through 21, which are the, and just for the sakes, thank you, sorry. These are probationary appointments, temporary instructional appointments, probationary appointments. Let me just see how I can do this.
And fall coaching
So we're gonna pull out fall coaching appointments and, number 1, is that what you
Yep.
said? Fall coaching appointments and temporary, probationary appointments certified. So that's number 1 and number 5 in the personnel action,
Under sub A.
under the whole packet, under sub A, numbers 1 and 5.
Sub A, number 1 and number 5.
3 sub A, number 1 and number 5, we're pulling out.
Apologies to all.
And we will vote on the balance of those related personnel actions under the agenda number 3. Could I please have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
So which,
Oh.
let's clarify which vote you're doing
I'm
first.
I'm doing a vote for number
3 sub A, number 1.
3 sub A, number 1,
And 3
and
sub
number,
A, number 5.
number 5, yes.
Okay, we're going to do that vote first.
We're doing that vote first, thank
Okay.
you, yes. We got a motion? We have a
Have a
second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Abstention.
Thank you. Now we're going to take a vote on all other personnel actions within number 3 on the agenda item, except the 2 we just voted on. Could I please have a motion?
So moved.
Could I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Okay. Number 9, Jim? I need a cheat sheet. Motion to discuss?
So moved.
Second? Could I have a second? Thank you, thank you. Discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to be really brief. So this is a bid to award the scoreboard at the new multi-sport athletics facility. This has not come before, at least I didn't see it in front of the facilities committee for any discussion. This is the first I'm seeing of it. I'm not aware of what different options were presented. I asked the question to Mr. Dade yesterday, and he just said that this was the best scoreboard available within our budget as recommended by the Palumbo Group. I just don't think we're ready to make that decision right now without digging into it a little bit deeper as a facilities committee. And the brief reasoning behind that is I sat up here when we approved the bond to do these facilities that this was going to be done right, and I put my name on that. And this is a highly visible part of the project. And I can guarantee you that if we have a scoreboard that doesn't match what Goshen has, what Middletown has, et cetera, I'm going to be sitting at some event, other board members will be sitting at some event watching our students, possibly watching our own children. Jason Simo is going to be sitting at some event, and community members are going to come up and go, there it is, Cornwall School District cheaping out again. They're not going to go track down Lou Rodriguez with the Palumbo Group and complain to him. So since my name is on it publicly, I would like to recommend that we look at some different options within the facilities committee, and perhaps this is the option that we settle on, but I think this is an important public-facing piece of the construction project, and we should dig into this a little bit more. Because I just don't know the parameters. Right here, this is for 115. I don't know if it's 20 grand. I don't know if it's 230. I just have no concept. So we may end up voting for this scoreboard. In my mind, it's just not ready for prime time, so I'm going to vote no on this item. So thank you.
Christine, if I could just interject here just real quick. While I respect what Jim said, I would have to check on the specifics as to the impact that would have on the timeline to complete the job. The reason I say that is because the scoreboard is an integral part of that entire footprint, and I know for a fact that it has to be brought in, they use a crane, things like that. If we are doing other work and that work is being finished, we would not have the luxury of, at that point, bringing a crane on top of that and damaging it. So, again, I just have to, I will get back to the board, but the timeliness of this is really critical.
And if I could offer in between, so just for public perspective, there's going to be, Jim knows this, I say this every facilities committee meeting, we will be sitting in the stands complaining about something that another district has, so just know that extremely limited budget, there will be things that we're going to complain about, how many bleacher seats we have, the bathroom issue, things of that nature, so I just want to make sure we put that out there. In respect for Jim, he's very right, anything public facing is going to be even ramped up with regards to scrutiny. So I'm wondering if Harvey can get the board the information about impact on timeline. And then two, if we could just get the board just the information on the school board and to the last year's facilities committee just to get feedback and help them understand, the budget, what the additional video enhancement would cost, and then what we might have to, where that money would have to come from could be just another way to get information out and then make sure that we're not doing something that the board's not going to be comfortable with.
In the interest of time, that's certainly a fine approach by me.
Thanks, Christine. Yeah, when Jim raised this point by email, my immediate reply was that, probably we can, I use the term juggle funds if we can as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, to accommodate that requirement, right? I mean, having a video definitely looks much better than not having a video, especially if, and I raised that point, like surrounding schools, if they have it, we don't, what's going on, why? Jim said, like, they're chipping it out again. Yeah, they can do that. So it's gonna take some effort, sometimes some like smart minds put together to see where we can, what we can do with the approved budget in order to accommodate this.
Other comments?
It's my understanding then that we are withdrawing this item, and then when we say timeliness, are we, and this is Harvey, timeliness is a concern. Are we thinking that we need to vote on this in August? We need to vote on this in September? How much time do you think we have?
That I have to check on. Everything is moving full steam ahead right now, so this would put the brakes on it. And again, I don't know the impact it'll have on everything else.
Your sense, though, is that we at least have till August.
Mine isn't.
I don't think it is.
So
I
we
think
have
it's
to
going to
call
have to
a
be.
You
special
could call a
meeting?
special meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to have to have a
Just
meeting.
Got it. Okay.
I think everyone will feel better having the information, and then we'll call a special meeting.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So we're going to pull that from the voting,
Right.
or we're not going to vote on it, right?
Do we have to vote to pull it from the agenda?
Or to pause it, to
Or do we
hold
vote,
it?
Or we vote on it and table it till then we
Oh.
I'm just wondering what
I like to be positive. Let's vote on pulling it and getting the information necessary and then taking the steps based on the timeliness that Harvey shares with us. Does that work? So all in favor of pulling this for the time being till we have more information?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. And as soon as we hear that information, we can determine the best next steps. Okay, those were the only ones that people asked to pull? Okay, so now we're on to new business. discussion of Board of Ed committees. So, I know we have a list of committees here, and these are the ones that we've had this past year that I was on. I know there has been discussion of some additional committees thrown around, like a curriculum committee. There was a code of conduct committee suggestion. And so my recommendation, and open for discussion, would be that if you would like the board to consider having an additional committee for the year or for the short term, to please send an email to the board. I will compile all of it, and then I will send out a second email asking for folks to share their preference of where they would like to serve and where they think they can add the most value. And then in August, we can discuss and vote. Would that work?
Christine, just maybe an improvement to your suggestion.
Please.
Maybe a Google form.
Yes.
That can
Yeah, we can just
have two
input.
elements. One, any suggesting new committees, and then people expressing maybe a preference for following, and then you can get it in tabular form. And either I could do that for you, but I'm sure you can do it as
That
well.
would be helpful. I only suggested the pause because you might suggest a committee I didn't think of that I want to sit on.
Well,
So,
nothing's official till we actually
right. Well,
decide it.
then I would want to ask about, so
And
that's all.
so I guess my point is
Yeah.
that might be better than email because of the emails
would be
become a
perfect.
chain, and that will keep it all in one place.
If you would like to manage that, that would be most
I
appreciated.
would be glad to.
Thank you. But we have to vote on that, I think, if everyone's okay with moving forward with that process. So can I have a,
I'm sorry, can you just explain the process?
sure.
again?
So my thinking is that folks can submit, if there are other committees they would like for us to consider, because over the past year, people did throw around some ideas. Not just a title, I would like you to submit what the value and the purpose of that committee would be. What is the end game at the end of the year? What value does it add for the district? Submit that in the Google form. My suggestion is then we take a slight pause, we then put them all in one, and then folks can sort of check off the ones they're most interested in, so at least we can have an informed discussion in August. I would not suggest we come back with everything assigned, but that we at least have everyone has a view of what everyone's interests are, and we can move forward that way.
So just to, this is more
Please.
for my own understanding than to question your explanation. So we're kind of doing two things. We are expressing interest in perhaps additional committees, but also signaling our membership in existing committees. I think at the same time, too, we should probably signal a willingness to chair it, just because that usually makes the chair
Yeah.
selections just easier. But then what is our goal then for August? Are we, by the end of that meeting, do we think we're finalizing those committees, or are we putting that to the first meeting of
No,
September?
I would like to have them finalized.
Okay.
Ideally, if everyone's suggestions come in and they're nice and neat and it works out, that speaks for itself, but we could certainly have discussion.
I'd like to propose maybe a two-track process. One where we finalize filling the existing committees at the August meeting, and I think any new committees would need to have a discussion at a bare minimum at the August meeting, if not further discussions, depending on the committee and where that discussion takes us. So I think we would need to just have a vote to set up those committees in August would be the earliest we could do that, and the earliest they could then be filled would be the September meeting. But I think it's important to try and fill the existing committees as quickly as possible. And the discussion's going to take us where it takes us on potential new
Yeah.
committees.
I think the challenge, and devil's advocate, so I don't see DE&I on here either, right? And so I don't know, is that a committee that we served on it, Christian and I?
It's a district committee.
Oh, okay.
That has members.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Can I just propose, because this is what a process, kind of what we did last year, perhaps if the chairs of these committees would like to do a short synopsis for people, just so that they understand what's involved and what the commitment is, and perhaps you were saying the standing committees that we're required to have, because there's no, we have to have those committees.
The past chairs.
Yeah, the past chairs of the previous year, and it could just maybe, I think we did it last year, but I'm not sure we were particularly brief, but just in the sense of discussing what that committee does and what issues might come before that committee, and why people served on it, and that might be helpful to people in making their decisions and help us make decisions expeditiously in August.
So can I recap my understanding of where we're at? We're going to give a brief, like, how often does this committee meet? What is the time commitment? what is the involvement today, so that folks have a little bit of insight going into this Google Doc. The Google Doc is going to have current committees that folks on the board will identify their interest and their interest in chairing a committee. If it all nets out beautifully and evenly, we come in August and so be it, or we have a discussion and then vote. Simultaneously, I think it would be prudent to have folks make suggestions for any additional board committees that have been discussed over the year. And to Jim's point, it might be premature in August to vote on who's on what committee or if the committee even exists. But I think it would be worth having the discussion in August, because I don't want to have this lag of we're not starting anything until December as a result of, monthly meetings. So if folks could commit to giving their suggestion so that it can be up for discussion in August, and if not vote in August, at least at the first meeting in September, so we can keep it moving. Does that sound reasonable? Okay. So can we have audit committee, if you were on the committee or chaired it, could you give a brief overview of time commitment, et cetera?
Thank you. I think I'll just take the first three, if you will, because I was the chair of audit and policy, and Lewis was chair of facilities. And since I was on the committee, I'll be Lewis here for a minute. So for the audit committee, it's a minimum of 2 meetings per year. It typically is only 2 meetings, 1 meeting in the fall to review the results of the external audit, which is conducted by auditors, and we just have any questions for those auditors, and then they make a presentation to the full board, assuming that the committee recommends it, and then a meeting in the spring to go over internal audit. The external audit's pretty baked by the state in terms of what can be done. The internal audit has a menu, for lack of a better word, of the areas that you can audit, so the committee also chooses that. The policy committee, obviously one of the main roles of the board is to make policy for the district. When Terry came in, he implemented a rolling 3-year review cycle where each policy is reviewed once every 3 years, which is really great to make sure that they stay fresh and relevant. There's also then discussion of adding any new policies which a member may suggest, or which community suggests, and we as members think is a good idea to take up. It typically takes 3 meetings to review each of those tranches of the existing policies, and then it's an additional meeting perhaps, depending upon whether or not there's new policies committed. Facilities committee is probably one of the most active committees alongside communications. Facilities committee, if we are trying to 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was, when we finalized what was in the bond, we were meeting sort of every other week opposite board meetings through a fall. I think we had a fall where we had maybe 8 meetings in one fall. That's sort of the extreme end of it, but I would imagine that the facilities committee will probably have 3 to 4 meetings this fall, and probably an additional 2 to 3 meetings this spring would be my expectation this year. We got started on, as we're filling up the capital bond number 2 here, the capital, what's the word I'm looking for? Capital reserve, thank you. The capital reserve has $3 of $5 million in it right now. We will see probably next month or in September what's left over from last year's budget, which we will allocate to that. And if we can get to $5 million, if that money is available, then the facilities committee will be very busy finalizing what we think should go into a bond to public, and making a recommendation to the full board for their discussion in terms of the timing of that vote. If that $5 million bucket is not full, it'll still be a pretty busy year finalizing kind of what we think is in that next bond, which would probably then be ready for fall of 25 if it's not ready at some point within the next year. Thank you.
Brenton?
I'll pick up there with the communication committee. It's good that it comes on the heel of the facilities committee, because a lot of what the communications committee has been doing over the past few years is in concert with the facilities committee. So generally speaking, we have a few meetings and a few events throughout the year. And then towards the budget season is when we really ramp up activity, producing any number of content types, whether it's informational videos, helping with brochures, et cetera, to get good information about the budget out. Those earlier meetings throughout the year, typically we meet in September, talk about what we will pursue throughout the year. You would want to keep your calendar open for an event sometime in the late fall, winter. The last couple of years, it's been to actually provide updates about the capital project progress. Again, so involvement in the communications committee also requires awareness, if not attendance, at some facilities committee meetings, just to understand what's going on, so that we can basically be the bullhorn for whatever's coming out of that. And I would say that the time towards the end of the year is fairly heavy as we get into budget season.
Yep, thank you. So the visitation committee is one of those interesting committees because you don't meet every month. So basically what it is this committee goes through the schools, all 5 of our schools. We're invited into different classrooms. We observe how it's taught. We observe the climate. We observe the facilities. We look around. The building administrators take us on tours of the building. Typically, the visitations in the fall and in the spring, they take place over a few days, typically 2 days. So to be on this committee, you would probably have to commit a morning or a day to go through the schools. We also have alternates to the committee, so you don't have to necessarily be on the committee, but if someone who got appointed to the committee can't make a certain visitation day, you can fill in for them. So we kind of try to keep it a little bit flexible for everybody. So yeah, thank you.
I don't think we had someone for new member handbook, but I'll just ask Linda, can we get copies of those if we didn't yet, handbooks for the new folks? It is a lot of what we go over in the training, but it's nice to just have at your fingertips. So we'll just leave that page out for now. Thank you. And scholarship committee as well. I don't know that we actually have a chairperson. Maybe it was Lewis. I'm not sure, but
last year we didn't have the committee because there was a process created by a committee in the past, and so there was no reason for a committee to meet.
Yeah.
And did I get it right, Jim?
Yes.
And as a result, we decided not to formally have that committee and only, in a sense, have it ad hoc if absolutely necessary.
So that is the bulk of our committees. Any questions? And of course, Eleonora and Tiffany, it goes without saying, just ask away, email, call, because all year long things would pop up and I'd be like, excuse me. So, yeah. But if you want any more individual information, those were the committee chairs last year that you could reach out to. So next steps on that, Christian's going to help me. We'll connect on what that Google form will include. You will indicate your interest in a committee, your interest in chairing committee, and any suggestions for other committees moving forward. In August, we will vote on or agree on the committee participants and the chairs, and we will discuss the suggestions.
Christine, just because to complete, last year we also talked about the NISBA representative, the OXPA representative, and the legislative liaison.
Thank you.
And perhaps since we were actually ahead of schedule so far tonight, that at least compared to last year, that maybe we want to just cover that as well.
In the Google form?
Well, cover that.
And
I know that I believe the NISBA representative was Dr. Chakra. I was the legislative liaison, and I
Carl and I did the
OXPA.
The committee one, yeah. Okay, that's a great idea. Thank you. So let's see, where are those?
Can I ask a question?
Oh, OXPA was me? Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Go
Is
ahead.
that okay? So, again, first night, so this could be totally off base, but could we, at any point this evening, reopen the election to try to resolve the presidential election?
That I don't know.
Do we vote on that if we want to?
We could.
We could. So I am asking us to reopen it. Anyone second that?
And I'll second that.
Okay, I'm a little out of my league here, so
Or-
discussion?
Just since we are going to have a special meeting for the scoreboard before the next scheduled meeting, perhaps that would be a good opportunity also to have to reopen that discussion so that it can be done in a timely manner and going into the August meeting. And I think that gives enough people time. And my point is that it seems to be there's going to be a special meeting anyway, and we could add to the agenda that item.
I'm sorry, I just need to say something, being very new to this. It was a lot of middle school behavior the last few weeks. And I know that Baz discussed that in his 9 points. I don't know if waiting a few weeks is going to make that change, or if it's going to drive everyone insane to continually get the text and the phone calls. So I'm asking that we do it this evening. Whatever everyone chooses is fine. Again, I have Brendan next to me who I'm trying to get the rules from.
So I think it's as simple as it's been raised, and if there's a majority to do it, then we do it.
So can I have a motion to reopen the election? What?
I thought there was a motion in a second.
There's a motion and a second already. Yeah.
Did I
Oh, there was a
motion?
motion. All right.
Okay.
Can I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One opposed, abstain? All right, Harvey, I guess.
Okay, so we will open the floor for nominations for president.
What did you want?
Nominate Jim Cragen.
Okay, we have a nomination for Jim Cregan. Any other nominations from the floor?
Christian Brunelli?
Christian Brunelli?
Yeah.
Any other nominations? Okay. By a show of hands, all in favor of Jim Cregan for president, please raise your hand. Hard to see, sir. Okay, we have Richard. Sorry, I can't see. Eleanor, Brendan, Jim, Christine, and Tiffany. And Christian. All in favor for Christian Brunelli? Please raise your hand. Okay, no, okay. Very good. Jim, you have been elected the president.
What the point was?
All right.
I guess I
Swear
earned my
you in.
chops.
Please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of President, Board of Education,
of President, Board of Education,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay. You want me to take over?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wanna
Well, I
finish
think
up for
Christian,
discussion? We
yeah,
kind of jumped
I
in the
think-
middle there.
yeah, I
We
think
wanna
bo-
talk about OXPA.
yeah, so it's OXPA, the Orange County School Board, it's the annual meeting of New York State School Boards, and then the legislative liaison. OXPA, Carl and I sat on that throughout the year. I really loved that committee. You meet with all the other board reps from Orange County. It's the Orange County School Board meeting. I learned a lot and got a lot of insight from other folks sharing information and, talking about best practices. They bring in speakers, and it's, you have a committee member, you have an alternate, and then anyone else is welcome to attend as well. So it's not closed if you're not actually the committee chair or whatever. So they meet once a month in Middletown, typically around 7 p.m. Christian, were you the liaison? Okay.
So the legislative liaison is our contact person with the elected officials who impact our district through state funding and sometimes federal funding. State funding and federal fund. Third time's a charm. There is one major, usually commitment, although it's not limited to the legislative liaison, which is to go up for the lobbying day, where we go and talk to our the representatives in the state senate and the state assembly, and express our priorities and needs along with the other school districts in the region. It also means it's a contact point. Sometimes they reach out to us whether they want to nominate or recognize students. Sometimes there are programs where they want to, and we would be the contact person for the board, for them to reach out and contact the board. If we wanted to expand the role, and people have suggested this in the past, that we could also have someone who reaches out to our local government representatives who we also deal with for a variety of different issues, and just to have a single contact point, although usually the board officers serve that as well. So that is what the role of the legislative liaison is.
The Board of Annual Meeting of the New York State Board of Education Association?
NISBA.
NISBA? Yeah, that was you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are much different. Usually the Orange County, that one you get a free dinner, and on B you miss your dinner. So those beware. But I would also, not that we're nominating the NISBA rep, but I think that's Bass's territory until he cedes it. I would also say, as we're talking about this, the work that Bass put in last year, really gathering everybody's insight and votes, and then we say, you represent the board's interests to whoever. I think that should be the new standard for what we do. It's been kind of unofficial. One person goes and they sit at the meetings, but what Bass did last year was, I think, should be the new standard for all of these kinds of appointments. So I know we're at the point we're trying to encourage people to do it, and usually you don't make the bar higher when you're trying to do that, but in the interest of letting people know what they're getting into, which is what we did with the committees, I think we should be clear. I think that is kind of our expectation.
Any other comments on committees or other assignments, appointments? Okay, Jim, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Christine. Wonderful work. That brings us to our second recognition of visitors. If I have anyone for public comment, please come forward and state your name, and I'd love to hear from you.
Good evening. Here we go. Jose, am I on? No. Jose, am I good? The other one? I'll talk more here.
Take Christian's one.
Sure, okay, there we go. Good evening, John Hines, CCTA President. Congratulations, Eleonora, Tiffany, Jim, on your election and re-election, and Jim and Christine on your officer positions. I just want to comment tonight that the discussion we're having over a scoreboard and worrying about community feedbacks, I hope we take that same motive as the new Board of Education and apply that to educational resources we're providing to students, collectively bargaining with your bargaining units, health and safety of your staff and students. I hope we take that same concern and apply it district-wide, and as the 9 of you as the elected representatives of our community, I think that's a great discussion you have, because you're right, Jim. They're gonna complain about the scoreboard if it's not beautiful, but I think we need to keep that granular and say, do we have enough workbooks for our kids? Do we have enough pencils and pens for our staff that they're not paying out of pocket for that stuff? So taking that mindset and applying that to the 24-25 school year, I think will lead us off to a great start. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for that. Any other public comments? All right, so moving on to item J, closing comments from the BOE. I guess I'll start with Richard.
Thank you. So I first want to congratulate our two new board members, Tiffany and Eleonora, and congratulations to Jim on being reelected and sworn in. And also congratulations to you becoming president and to Christine as vice president. I'm going to keep it short. I just hope everybody has a great summer, enjoys themselves, you know, being at a couple of the graduations and moving up ceremonies. It was just great to see the energy in the room and the energy of our students. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep it at that. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Richard. Carl.
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate everyone and good luck this year.
Thank you, Carl. Eleonora.
So I'm extremely uncomfortable with this part of the Board of Ed meeting. I always have been as a spectator sitting out there. Kind of felt a little bit like a pep rally. So I think that my comments are going to go to our teachers, our students, our secretaries, our custodians who made our 23-24 school year a success. I congratulate our graduates, and I hope that our school district continues to excel as they have been doing.
Great, thank you. Brendan.
Thank you, Jim. First, congratulations to Eleonora and Tiffany. I very much, I would say, I look forward to working with you, but this has been easily the most eventful reorg meeting in my time, so I feel like we're already halfway through the year. To Jim and Christine, congratulations. You both deserve it richly. So Christine, I had to quickly fact check this reference. So there was William Henry Harrison was the shortest term president. He spoke for hours, got pneumonia, and died 30 days later. So you're already off to a better start. And similar to what Eleonora just said, you know, we can go on and on, but I think it is summer for our students. So here's to a restful summer, enriching summer, and I know everybody here is still going to be hard at work. So I don't want to wish you too much time off, and I know you'll be hard at work in the district office, but just everybody stay safe out there.
Thank you, Brendan. Bass.
Thanks, Jim. First, I'd like to congratulate our two new board members, Eleonora and Tiffany. Congratulations. And congratulations to Jim, first for getting re-elected this year and for getting elected as the president tonight. So congratulations to everybody. As I said in my opening statement to the community about the president-vice president election process, I'd like to take this step further. As I mentioned, I think it was number 9 at the bottom of my list, that I'd like to take this to the policy committee. And I would hope that the policy committee this year would add it to kind of, there's a policy on electing officers and stuff, like we have to be clear there about the process. Everybody seems to agree, maybe the majority, not everybody, but the process does not exist. I mean, that says it all, right? We have it, describe it in a clear way. So these kind of one-on-one texting, you know, late at night, and I mean, we don't need to go through that anymore. So we will correct that, okay? And lastly, this is just, I want to ask, it's a question. Our email address, and I know community at some points asked about that in the past. There is BOE@cornwallschools.com and there's board@cornwallschools.com, and they do include administrators, some of those email addresses, and kind of, I don't know if there is one that does not include administrator. I mean, you can look at the top, tells you 12 members are listed. Do we have one that says only 9? That's a question, and we have to clean it up, I guess, make it clear for everybody with our IT team or something. I mean, something that needs to be cleared for the benefit of everybody. Thanks.
Where Terry goes, I did not want to slight anyone. Congratulations to our new president and vice president, and congratulations, Tiffany.
Thank you. Christian.
I will join the crowd and extend congratulations to our new board members, and I look forward to working with both of you. And I think that hopefully tonight was a basis for some of that. I also want to congratulate Jim, and I want to congratulate Christine on their election, but also Christine on the most successful presidency in the history of the Cornwall Central School District. You accomplished everything in your platform. I would also echo Bass's comments earlier in this meeting, and I think I do this experiment with my politics class and ethics class, where I ask students to divide a certain number of points among them and let every single student make a proposal. And you'll find that they are not able to come up with a proposal that will get a majority within 45 minutes, which is partly because of the lack of transparency, but also why political parties organize and signal not just the candidate, but what are the values and policies and commitments that different groups of people have. And while I don't think that, I'm not sure that this rises to a policy, I do think it would be lovely to have a norm of people being transparent with everyone and keeping people on the same level of information. Because I think what happens is when you try to be too clever, it becomes a process of trying to get people to convince them that they can't win so that they don't stand for office. And I think that a norm of that would be helpful, especially because there are, as I think is fair to say, this has been a divided board now for 2 or 3 years. But we have to have a commitment that, that we are working for Cornwall, and that is more important than whatever differences that are among us. And I know individually, everyone feels that way, and I know that is a basis for us to build on, and hopefully we can address this at our board retreat this year. And I think I look forward to a productive and functional year with everyone here. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Tiffany.
Thank you, everyone at this table, and people who aren't at this table who've come up to me individually for being so welcoming. I appreciate it very much, more than you know. Congratulations to Eleonora, Jim, and Christine. And I hope I didn't make it too painful for everyone from my very first meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Christine?
Thank you. Eleanor and Tiffany, welcome to the board. I'm excited to work with you. Jim, congratulations on another go-round. Thank you to everyone for your patience. You know, I will always say, even at work, like I am a lifelong learner. You know, you just say yes and figure it out. And this was the perfect example that I will use in future conversations I have, that you just rely on those around you to help you and you'll get through it. I want to just make a comment that, you know, I had children who graduated this year. It was just really an incredible ceremony for so many reasons. I know for the folks that were there, it was very inspirational. The rain held off just in time. But a big thank you to administration, to Mrs. Wilhelm, you know, to everyone that makes that possible. I know this wasn't the only year that was special, but of course, having an emotional attachment to it makes it different. And I just, you know, on the heels of everyone's comments around this process for election and the phone calls and emails and talking and chatting, what I want to challenge everyone with this year is we're all going to have different opinions. And we talk about a divided board, which sounds divisive. And I don't feel that. I feel I have sometimes maybe a different opinion or I see things differently. But if we could go into this year trusting the intention of our colleagues sitting around us, I think we will move forward faster. If I'm not looking for reasons as to why you might be scheming or telling me one thing, telling someone else another, and if I'm just trusting your intention because you've committed to serving on this board, I think we can get a whole lot farther. I think there's a misunderstanding. There are things that are said and heard differently based on who you might be, you know, in terms of how you process things. And so this is not anything else. This is what I say to folks. Trust people's intentions, and you will be able to get past your bias and perhaps your knee-jerk reaction to be defensive and distrustful. So that is my challenge to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. I'll echo everybody's sentiments and certainly want to welcome Tiffany and Eleanor to the board, and I look forward to serving with both of you. Congratulations, Christine. Thank you to the rest of the board for putting your faith in me. You're welcome. Thank you. No, thank you for the rest of the board for putting your faith in me. Like the office of the president, I still have the same 1 vote out of 9 that the rest of you have. Really, my main charge is to try to just make sure that every opinion is heard at each meeting when we have discussions, and try to do that in the most time-effective and logical way possible. So that's really all it is just to facilitate discussion, to make sure that we get to the best decisions for our school district and our community. I hope that that's what I want to say. Piggybacking on graduation, I was ashamed that I was inside, but it was a great event, and I just thought it was really cool as a board member that we had 3 board members either having, having other children or a sibling graduate. So to have 3 of the 9 of us actually, handing off to 4 siblings, since you have twins, or 4 children and siblings, was really cool. So that's probably not going to happen anytime soon again, but that was neat to have that happen. So graduation was great. We turned the page on that. I hope everybody has a great and restful summer. Be assured that the board will continue its duties throughout the summer, and I look forward to a great 24-25 school year. And one final thing I'll add is I'm going to give a little homework to Tiffany and Eleonora. I'd like you to go back to the last meeting on the YouTube and pull up our board goals discussion and just watch that so we can pick that back up at the next meeting.
Jim, just for the record, I missed one important congratulations. Congratulations to you, Christine, on the VP position.
All right, thank you. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. See you next month.